Alright, so today we're going to be talking about our brand new 5-star limited option, which is Seele. Seele is our quantum type DPS that is a single target, and today we're going to be talking about her best relics, her best light cones, her best teams, all that type of stuff, and her busted mechanics. So we're going to be talking about all of that today. But before we get into all that, make sure to leave a sub and a like on the video if you're going to be enjoying some Honkai Star Rail content. I also do cover Genshin and Honkai Impact, so if you like any of that stuff, make sure to sub for that as well. But let's go ahead and start talking about our character, which is Seele. Like I said, Seele is our quantum type DPS that is a single target, and her kit basically runs around her being as fast as she possibly can. Now, being with Seele, you are going to make sure that she is going as much turns as she possibly can, being able to do as much speed and be able to be, skipping so many turns that the enemies don't have a chance to actually do anything. Now, when the enemies do get their chance, they're probably super low in health and, basically ready to get one shot anyway. But let's go ahead and start talking about her talents. Her basic attack, of course, is just a regular single target hit. Her skill is going to be the main meat of her, I guess you could say, 3 damage types, because it's going to be giving her the speed increase that she needs to be able to beat these people before they get their turn. So this is going to be something that you really want to use. And then her ultimate is just a big number of damage when you use it. Now, the main part of her kit, or the big spot of her kit, is her talent, which is going to be when you defeat an enemy with normal, with skill, with an ultimate, you're going to get an extra turn, and then you're going to get a damage increase for that extra turn. She also has a talent of not getting hit, or has a reduced chance of getting hit when you're under 50%, so that you hopefully don't die when you're doing something like Simulated Universe or anything like that. So these are some really cool things that Seele can do. Now, of course, the things that you want to make sure that you're doing is, of course, building your team around Seele. And I think this is a very, very important point to know, because if you don't build your team around Seele, she's not really getting the best of her kit, done, because she needs to take out enemies to get her extra turn. Now, another thing to also notice about getting the extra turn, if you already have the buff and you already got your extra turn, you are not going to be getting another one if you beat another enemy. So you do only get one extra turn. If you use it right, you can get more, and I'll be talking about that in a quick second. But for the most part, you want to make a team that is kind of like this. Now, I know this is a very premium option, and we're going to be talking about some 4 stars that you can use to be able to substitute these out, because this is probably one of Seele's best teams at the moment if you want to go for overall speed demon type kit, because Seele, of course, is going to be boosting her own speed. Welt is going to be slowing down the enemy so they lose their speed. Bronya gives Seele an extra turn and a damage buff, and then you also get Natasha, who is the healer. Now, there are some 4-star options that you can use around this, which are Asta and Ting Yun. Asta is able to give a speed increase off of her ultimate, which is 38 if I'm not wrong, for 2 turns. So this is going to help out Seele get more turns in before the enemy. And then you also have Ting Yun, who's also a buffer, and also off of her ult gives a 20% increase in speed for 1 turn. So there are some 4-star options that you can use that are not the premier premium 5 stars that come from the standard banner. Now, I do want to talk about things like, if you use a character, you kind of don't want to build them around having them do damage. You kind of want to build them having Seele do the damage, because Welt can be an imaginary DPS, but I build them as a slower / deep buffer, because I do have the the light cone that actually decreases defense on hit by a chance. And although I do have his 5-star option, which lets him do a bunch of damage, I think helping out Seele and making sure she's getting her defeats, getting her extra turns, is a lot more valuable than actually making Welt do the damage, because you want to get the extra turns, you want to get the extra speed. You don't want other characters taking away your characters or taking away your enemies so that you can't proc, Seele's kit. So, I do have this on instead of his 5-star option, and you want to do the same thing with other characters. Welt is able to use that defense shred, and maybe for Asta, of course, you kind of want to use other light cones, kind of like when the wearer uses their ultimate, which is the speed increase already, have all allies actions be advanced forward by 16%. So this is going to be helping, like I said, Seele get so much extra turns, making her able to do so many different things before your enemies even get the chance. And this is the thing that you really want to make sure that you're prefacing on. So we're going to be building the team around her, and that's how you kind of want to do it. You want to make sure the light cones are able to do it. You want to make sure the skills actually match up with Seele, giving speed, helping attack, helping all of that type of stuff. That's the type of stuff that you want when you're building a team with Seele. So Asta, Ting Yun, Bronya, Welt, March 7th, Natasha, these are some amazing picks to be able to have for Seele at the current moment. Now, for a light cone, of course, her signature is going to be her absolute best. This is going to help her scale with her speed, so she's able to get attack and crit damage or off of her speed. So this is some really cool stuff that you can do. Now there are some other ones that help, but of course aren't as good. You have Zhongqin's different light cone, which is going to be helping your speed and give you some damage, but of course if you take damage you're going to be losing these buffs, so it can be a little conditional. There are some things like, you know, doing more damage with Shu Shang's, but I still think Yangqin's is the best. Now when it comes to 3-star options, I do think the adversarial is the only good one, because when you defeat an enemy and you get an attack increase, this will help you in your buff state, which can give you some extra damage, you know. That's some really good things. You also can get crit rate increased by 12%, which is also not that bad if you want to finish stuff early. But if you want to focus on your speed demon type build where you're having a slower or a bunch of speed increasers for Seele, then I think adversarial might be one of the best, because you're going to be getting a speed increase when you defeat an enemy. So not only are you going to get the extra damage that you're going to get from your buff state, you're also going to get some speed increase, and that way you're able to do more chances of you getting more turns before, you know, your enemy, and then you're able to get the attack buff over and over and over again. So I think adversarial is probably one of her best. If not, then I guess darting arrow would be the next best. For her relics, you do want to use the quantum DPS artifact set, and that is going to be from the you know, the relic in I guess you could say Velobog in the little winter area near the end of the game. This is going to be giving you the increased quantum damage by 10% for his 2B set, and for the 4B set you're going to be ignoring defense when you deal damage to the enemy, and then if they have quantum weakness you're going to be doing another 10% defense ignoring, and that's some really cool stuff for Seele. It's going to make her do a bunch of damage. This is the type of stuff that you want. Of course you want to build as much speed and also as much crit rate and crit damage as you can, because like I said, speed is the name of the game for Seele for the most part, and having her have the speed, having her have, you know, crit damage, quantum boost damage, this is the type of stuff that you want for Seele. Now what you want to do when you play with Seele is you want to prioritize ads versus the boss. When you worry about ads from the boss summoning them, which is for a lot of bosses that's what they do, the ads are going to add up in damage. They're going to end up either targeting the same character or they're going to just do team-wide damage, and you have a chance of losing your characters. And once you lose characters, that's when your team starts falling apart, especially when it's a healer or your DPS. So for the most part, use Seele to be able to destroy the ads before you get to the boss, and by the time you get to the boss, your whole team can focus on the boss. When you fight against ads, you want to use Seele's skill to do the most damage, and if you basically one-shot them, you're able to use the skill again, one-shot the other one, bam, you have another turn, you're ready to fight the boss is by itself, you're doing pretty good. Now if the enemy doesn't die from the skill when you use your against ads, then use your burst on the enemy with the more full health, because you're able to one-shot them with the burst, and then you can come back with your buff state and actually defeat the other one, and now there are no more ads. You're good with Seele, you're doing what you need to do, all the ads are gone, no more damage you're going to be taking in, and now you can just focus on the boss. So there's some really cool things that you can do with Seele. Now you do want to make sure you use her burst at the right time, because you're able to get extra turns because of it. So you want to go ahead and defeat one enemy, defeat the other enemy. When her turn is done, use her burst, she's able to defeat another enemy, and then she gets an extra turn, and then you can defeat another enemy. So this helps a lot when you're fighting with waves of a bunch of enemies that have lower health or medium health, because she's able to, you know, stack up on her speed, she's able to stack up on her attack because she gets her buff state so often, she's able to one-shot a character because she uses her burst. So you want to make sure you're using her actual burst after you use your 2 attacks or after your buff state, because then you get your buff state again right after using her ult. So this is some really cool stuff that you can do, or just make sure you're using your ult when her turn is done. That way she's able to steal that spot once again and able to, you know, defeat an enemy, do more damage, because that's what she wants to do. She wants to steal as many turns, do as much damage before your enemies can, and when it comes to ads, she destroys them so fast. Now, Seele is not a single target DPS. In all honesty, she's more AoE DPS, just because when you defeat enemies, especially as when you have strong enough skills or use your ult, and you're able to fight another one, beat them, do another turn, this is some stuff that you're going to be able to whittle down waves like crazy with just Seele alone. And especially if you're using characters like Welt, you're using characters like Dabronya, Asta, Tingyun, you're going to be getting so much speed that you're going to be getting a turn not from your buff, but from, you know, you just coming back from the queue. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with Seele. You really do want to make sure you want to time her buff at the right time, or time her burst at the right time, because you're able to go crazy with her, you know, damage, defeating a bunch of ads, and now you only have to worry about the boss itself. So there's some really cool things that you can do with Seele. I am going to be covering other 5-star and 4-star units that a lot of people are going to be using, and I do, of course, hopefully want to make a guided Jingyun, I forgot his name. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. See y'all in the next one, and peace.